What's going on, y'all? Harry from Harry the Horse Barbecue here, and in this one, I am not horsing around with the shawarma spice tri-tip. We're gonna throw a beautifully marbled tri-tip into a shawarma marinade, smoke it off on the offset to build some amazing color and smoke flavor, sear it off over hot coals to build a beautiful dark crust, and then we will slice on into a juicy, flavorful, medium rare roast. Looking to spice up your tri-tip game? Well, the horse has got your back. Let's get it.
Harry the Horse Barbecue.
Back in June of 2025, I went to Hoodoo Brown's 10-year anniversary and they had a star-studded lineup of cooks that were slinging amazing barbecue. And part of that star-studded lineup was Burt Bakman of Slab BBQ. He cooked up a shawarma spice tri-tip with some Ethiopian Schug, and it was one of the best bites that I had at that festival for sure. It was different than anything I've ever seen, incredibly flavorful, and I knew that I had to recreate this at some point at home, so today seems like the day. So this tri-tip starts with a shawarma marinade that I got started last night. Let's go take a look. Well, it's been snowing for 2 days, hence the chud beanie. But in order to make this shawarma, we had to go shopping for some beef. And let's go. That be a tri-tip. And I picked up this tri-tip from my guys over at Marbled Meat Shop. But before we even crack into this pack, we're gonna make our shawarma spice rub. So let's get that going. So this shawarma spice rub includes a ton of different spices that I either hand ground or hand pluck and ground, which I highly recommend going with that route because it's gonna give you ultimate flavor. But if you don't have the time to grind your own spices, you can either pick up a shawarma spice rub or just buy pre-ground spices. But first up, we're going down with some ground white pepper, some ground coriander, some ground cardamom. And if you've never popped open and picked out cardamom seeds, it'll drive you mad to the point where you gotta actually chug down a couple of blues. Speaking of, I deserve one after grinding all these spices. Moving on, here I've got some Knorr beef bouillon, some cumin that I ground fresh, some curry powder, fresh ground clove, some dried oregano and dried thyme. Also going in here with some cinnamon, just a little baby pinch of nutmeg. And this recipe is coming straight from Joshua Weissman, but I couldn't find any Aleppo pepper, which is in the recipe. So instead, I'm going in with some ancho chili powder. I figured this has that kind of dark, earthy, raisiny flavor, and this spice actually speaks to more of a classic style barbecue rub. So in with that. Lastly, going in with a bunch of kosher salt. And there's our shawarma spice mix. Let's get the rest of this marinade going. And now we're gonna start adding ingredients into the blender, starting with the zest of 2 lemons. Fastest way to zest is exactly this method. It's almost like you're peeling a potato, but with a zester. You just get the maximum amount of zest without any of the pith, which is the bitter parts of that white lemony peel. I swear this zest will go anywhere except for where you want it to go. And since we're already zesting, we're gonna go in with the zest of an orange. Now I have no idea if this is what Burt Bakman did at the Hoodoo Brown 10-year anniversary, but that tri-tip was insane. Good enough. Now Josh went in with the juice of 5 lemons. I'm just gonna go in with the juice of 4 lemons because that's what I have on hand, and just squeeze the juice. I'm gonna do that 3 more times, and then I'll juice the orange. Little juice from me in the meantime. And now orange time. Next in with a bunch of garlic, just a splash of white vinegar. I don't know, about a teaspoon. Next, about 100 grams of full fat plain yogurt. I'm gonna riff on this just a little bit and add just a wee bit of olive oil. I don't know, maybe like a tablespoon or so. And lastly, all of those spices right on in and let it go. Ooh, that smells incredible. You get all those spices coming through, a lot of cumin, clove, a lot of that coriander, very citrusy smelling. This smells ridiculous. Let's get that tri-tip out of the pack and cover it in this marinade. And that is a beaut for sure. Look at all that marbling in there. Not much work we gotta do. My butcher's hooked me up. I'm gonna pop this right into a zip top bag. Open that bag and we're going in with all of that shawarma marinade. Zip that up. Try to get some air out of it. Give her a mix around. Well, if you want this to spill all over your cutting board and waste half your marinade, you could totally do this in a zip top bag. Awesome. All right, well, after that disaster, I've got the majority of this marinade sitting in this bag with the tri-tip completely submerged. Now this tri-tip's gonna hit the fridge for about a 12 to 15 hour marinade. You can go about 24 hours if you'd like, but either way, I'll see you all in the AM where we can smoke this off. The nest of 3 snakes. It just won't stop snowing in New York. My damper's got an icicle on it. A damper-sicle. Sweet. You guys have seen me knock on the thermometer in nearly every single video, and that's to just determine whether the temps are coming up or going down. Nice little trick. But anywho, cooker's on its way up to about 250 degrees, which is exactly where we want to smoke off this tri-tip. So enough horsing around, let's get it on. Up and under. All right, a little raised rack, and here's our tri-tip, and it is smelling absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna leave all the marinade on there that wants to stay on there. Now, in case anyone's wondering at home, that tri-tip spent about 16 hours in that marinade. That marinade's gonna sort of caramelize, take on a bunch of smoke flavor, and hopefully leave us with some amazing flavor and a pretty unique looking bark. But at this rate, we're gonna let this tri-tip smoke on the offset until it hits an internal of about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooking at 250, this will likely take around 2.5 hours or so. We're looking for a rare doneness, and we're hoping that that marinade caramelizes quite a bit. Now, I've got the damper to the smokestack about a third of the way closed or so, and our fire is rocking 250 degrees the entire time. I'll bring you all back when it's time to pull this beast, but until then, all we gotta do is close it down. Boom, shawarma laka. What? All right, shakalaka. All right, y'all, it's been about 2.5 hours on this tri-tip, and it's just been smoking away at about 250 degrees. I think at this rate, we should be hitting around that 110, hopefully not too much over, because the next phase for this tri-tip is going to be direct searing it over some hot coals. We're gonna do that in order to crisp up the outside, render some fat, caramelize that shawarma marinade, and hopefully bring this up to about 125 internal for a perfect medium rare. We're losing light, so let's get this beast off the smoker. And you can see we're already getting some of that caramelization that we're looking for. If we take an internal, we're at about 116 degrees, which is a little bit over our target, but still not overcooked by any means. And now I know everyone's curious about the tail end here. Yeah, and that's already hitting 134, and we knew this was gonna happen with tri-tip, but that is the beauty of tri-tip. As everyone says, you get a little bit for everybody, right? You get more medium rare on this end where it's thicker, and you get more medium well or medium on the far end for those who like their steak like that. So I'm gonna pull this off the smoker, and in the meantime, we're gonna start to shovel some hot coals from our firebox straight into the Weber kettle, right into the slow and sear. And I'm also gonna throw on this raised rack by S&S just to keep our tri-tip safely away from the coals. Nice and snug. And after about a 10-15 minute rest, this tri-tip is feeling really wiggly, but it's ready to hit the direct sear. This way our tail end is not over those screaming hot coals, and we give the fat cap a chance to render a little bit and crisp up and caramelize any of this marinade that has not caramelized. You can see this underside, the marinade is still pretty wet, so we're gonna let these coals do their thing. Oh yeah, there she goes. We wanna be a bit careful here, or we don't wanna scorch this too much, and I don't wanna catch on fire either. A little toasty. Give her a little flip around. That fat cap caught on fire real quick, but nothing too irreversible. I actually love the way that looks. Nice and charred. It's almost like it's summer out here in the middle of winter. And after a few minutes on this direct sear, again, that fat cap is looking good. This is feeling really nice all the way around. Not super jiggly, but not overdone. Dead center. We're hitting roughly that 125 mark. I think it's time we pull her, rest her, and then we'll slice on in. While our tri-tip rests down, we have time to make a skhug. We've got Lebanese influence with the shawarma spice on this tri-tip, and the skhug is essentially a sauce that hails from Yemen, which is quite similar to a chimichurri, just maybe a wee bit on the spicier side. But Burt Bakman from Slab served up the shawarma tri-tip with a little bit of that skhug sauce. His was a bit more tomato-based from what I remember. Here I'm just going with what I could find online, so I'm going with a pretty traditional Yemenite skhug. Do this in a food processor. I think it'll turn out better. Starting with a bunch of cilantro and parsley, I'm just gonna go in with all of it. Adding this all to a food processor will give this sauce more of a chimichurri-like vibe, but I'm gonna add it all to this container and then blend it up with my stick blender, just because I'm feeling lazy and don't feel like chopping a bunch of stuff. About 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna do that about 5 more times. I'm gonna go in with 2 jalapeno peppers. You could do serrano peppers or any kind of chilies that you like. And to keep this more on the mild side, I am gonna de-seed these. Then we'll just give these a rough chop. Next in with some toasted coriander and cumin seeds that I toasted and ground in my molcajete, aka this mortar and pestle. Next, some freshly ground black pepper, about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm gonna go in with the juice of an entire lemon, and then a bunch of olive oil, aka about a half a cup. I'm too lazy to go get my extension cord, so I'm just gonna back it up to my counter over here and blend this up real quick. And here's our skhug, chunky yet smooth and bright neon green. Pretty sweet looking actually. Let's give this a little taste. Oh yeah, it's kind of herby and floral. It's got a zip from that lemon juice, a little salt in there. Nice and creamy from the oil. That's gonna make an amazing topper. Let's finally break out that tri-tip. Wazam! That is looking mighty fine if I do say so myself. The grain is running this way. And then it starts to run this way. So I think what we can do is right as it makes this little fork in the road, we can just slice off this end here. That's ridiculous. What a cook on that, eh? And the more medium end is still looking pretty good. Top this section right here with a little bit of our skhug. Oh yeah, what a lovely presentation that is, eh? And our tri-tip feast is ready. I'm telling y'all, the smells that are coming off of this thing are just insane. And I would eat from this nicely presented little pile there, but if y'all saw me eat more medium steak on this channel, you might disown me. But just look how beautiful that little slice of tri-tip is. Now this isn't something I cook often. Actually, this is the first tri-tip I've ever cooked. So let's see how we did. That's like butter. I'm getting flashbacks from that Hoodoo Brown 10-year anniversary where Burt cooked this beast up. Flavors are very similar to what I remember. A little more tangy, a lot of that citrus coming through. That marinade is packing flavor, holy crap. We gotta try it with a little bit of that skhug that we made. Wow, that skhug adds so much extra flavor into this dish. Gives you a pop of herbs, more tanginess, way more citrus. It's literally unreal. This tri-tip is so good, I just cannot stop. That shawarma spice on the outside is absolutely addictive. So you know I can't hold my horses. The eating experience is just so much better once this is cut thin. Too thick and it just becomes chewy. Tons of char on there from that direct sear. Plenty of salt all the way through, so you're not missing any salt here. But if you feel like it, you can go ahead and hit this with a little flake salt. Y'all know I'm not allowed to eat too much of this tri-tip because I'm not trying to get gout. And too much of this may make me run to the toilet pretty quickly. But the flavors are just out of bounds. And this is what I love about barbecue. Barbecue is known for brisket, ribs, and sausage, and all those great things from a central Texas craft-style barbecue joint. But barbecue is so expansive where you can push the boundaries quite a bit. And there are guys out there who are already putting their own cultural twist on barbecue.
I like the color of the sauce.
It's like neon green. Careful, not on your comfort set. You should try it. Well, yeah, you have like a little bit on its own. This marinade and the way it crisped up on the grill is like super good.
I like that. Who's this?
Are you the newest addition to the horse stables? The whole family's on camera.
Yay! That
Wow. Don't, okay, all right.
Okay. Oh my God.
She is quite camera shy. Look at this handsome guy. Speaking of cultural twists, this is what it's all about. Push the boundaries, try new things, make awesome food, and just have a good time doing it. Now, if you've never cooked tri-tip, definitely give this a shot. Don't skimp on the shawarma spice. And this skhug, even though we added 2 jalapeno peppers, no spice at all, just tons and tons of flavor. At this point, I don't know what to tell y'all except for stop horsing around and make this already. Thank y'all for tuning in to Harry the Horse Barbecue. I really appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure you subscribe for the vibes, hit that like for a new take on barbecue, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I'm posting new content, and you can follow me on Instagram at Harry the Horse Barbecue. Tag me so I can see what y'all are cooking because y'all inspire these cooks. And with that being said, there's only one more thing, y'all. This one is going straight to the horse's mouth. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Bye-bye, tri-tip.